We are live in the UFC's welterweight division. We have right here. It's a very solid card indeed. UFC 286 Usman versus Edwards. Very nice, very nice. All right. What is up, everybody? Stop blanking content. I'm making the content right now. So, we got UFC 286, and it's going to be a solid card. I wouldn't say as good as UFC 285 in terms of the amount of banger fights and undefeated fighters on the card, and just fight after fight after fight that I was looking forward to. But UFC 286 is still, gosh dang, still very good. It is still very, very solid of a card. 15 fights. That is awesome. That is an amazing card. Usman versus Edwards in the main event. Fiziev versus Gaethje. And we're going to do the full card prediction for all of you guys. The confident picks for all of you guys. And then the MMA news later on down the line. But predictions will be first, then the confident picks, then the MMA news. That's what we got for today's members only live stream. Let's get into it. UFC 286, Edwards versus Usman trilogy in London, England, in a 5-round main event for the welterweight belts. We have Gaethje Fiziev in the co-main, Barberina Gunnar Nelson, Maia versus O'Neal, Dolidze and Marvin Vettori. And then the prelims have pretty much every single fight having one guy from Europe in it, which is expected, as this is a card in London, England. So it's going to be a solid card in my opinion. A lot of up-and-coming prospects on this card that will have a very good future in the UFC. A few undefeated guys in a row at the bottom here with Jake Hadley, almost undefeated, Christian Leroy Duncan, Lerone Murphy, and Mohamed Mokaev, as well as Yanal Ashmaz. So this should be a good card, and let's get into the first fight of the card in the flyweight division. Veronica Macedo and Juliana Miller in the flyweight division. Now, you're looking at the odds right now, right? You're seeing minus 435 for Juliana Miller. I want you to look at that and be a little bit skeptical just from the get-go. I'm going to pick Juliana Miller to win. She's 3-1 as a mixed martial artist. Only loss was, in my opinion, a little bit of an iffy one that could have actually gone her way. Wasn't exactly the best judge's decision ever in that Claire Guthrie loss. But she's got way, way better wrestling and grappling than Veronica Macedo in this fight. Now, the reason I bring up those minus 435 betting odds, I think most likely she's going to win the fight. She's going to take the fight down, control it on top, do exactly what she was able to do against Brogan Walker and just ground and pound, ground and pound, ground and pound. Get those elbows, get those ground and pound shots going and get a submission in the second or third round. That is going to be my prediction. But is it like parlay piece worthy? Probably not. The only reason, not because of the skills that I know that Veronica Macedo has, is literally because of the things I don't know about Veronica Macedo. She started in the UFC 0-3, getting finished twice in round 2 and round 3, beat Poliana Viana by submission, and then lost to B. Malecki. That was 3 years ago. What in the world has she been doing for the last 3 years? I'm going to say that right now. What has Veronica Macedo been doing for the last 3 years at training MMA? She have a baby, she get injured. I'm really not too sure. So maybe Veronica's been training and her grappling is way better than normal. Her striking is going to be way better than normal. There's a lot of intangibles with a fight like this, so I don't really think Veronica Macedo should, be a part, or Juliana Miller should be like a parlay piece on this card. Even though I'm confident on her, as you'll see in the Confident Picks video, you never can be like 90% confident on a girl who's fighting another person that has not fought in 3 years. You don't know how much they improved. If you want an example, think of Natalia Silva versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. Jasmine was making, I believe, her second or third fight in the UFC, fighting a debuting fighter who hasn't fought in like 3 years. in those 3 years, she looked like a completely different fighter. So it is an interesting one to bet on. Obviously, the prediction is going to be like a lot of people here in going Miller by submission. I don't know why so many people are saying Miller by decision, even though she went out there and poured everything into getting the finish in the last fight. And the fact that Veronica Macedo has been finished in 50% of her fights inside of the UFC. More times out of 10, Juliana Miller does get the finish. So, Juliana Miller, rear naked choke submission in round number 2 or round number 3. But beware, fighters that have not fought in a long time, they're always risky to bet against. But I got Juliana Miller by submission, round 2 or round 3. Jai Herbert and Ludovic Klein in the lightweight division. Ludovic Klein, he's won 2 in a row. Devontae Smith, which was a very, very close one. Devontae's got serious power, but Ludovic was actually laying in some of the harder shots in that fight and just being the overall better striker. Same way he did against Mason Jones in their fight, was rocking him a few times there as well. His only 2 losses recently were to Mike Trezano as well as Nate Landwehr. The Mike Trezano one, he kind of got outstruck in that one a little bit, but it was a very competitive fight, 29-28. The Nate Landwehr fight, he just got out-hustled, out-cardioed and things like that, and then got submitted in round number 3, but was doing good in round number 1. Jai Herbert, I don't expect him to go out there and finish, but the fact that Jai seems to get rocked, wobbled, hurt in almost every single fight does worry me for a guy like him, because 3 of his 4 losses are by KO, TKO. The other one is a submission. The man has never lost a fight going to unanimous decision. Now, a lot of the guys he's fighting have good power in their hands, like Francisco Trinaldo and then Ilia Topuria. Renato Moicano was able to hurt him on the feet as well. A lot of these guys are able to hurt Jai Herbert on the feet. So, it is one where if you're betting a prop on this one, you're going Ludovic by knockout, it's still worrying because Ludovic, when's the last time he got a knockout? Almost 2.5 years ago as well, and that's the last time he's gotten a KO or even gotten KO. So I'm going to go towards this fight goes to a decision, but I'm not feeling 100% on it, given Jai Herbert's chin. But Ludovic's a lot better of a striker. He's not as tall, he's not as lengthy, but he's more technical. He throws a little bit more volume, a lot better of a kicking game as well. And if Jai wants to win, he's going to have to stay on the outside, stay away from those kicks, and possibly mix in some wrestling and grappling. But I think Ludovic lands a little bit more volume. I think he might hurt Jai throughout this fight 1 or 2 times, but I don't think he finishes him. There's no way, in my opinion, he's going to get knocked out again in London, England. I highly doubt that's going to happen. So I think this one goes all the way Ludovic Klein by a decision, which is in the minority on the predictions right there, which is kind of what I was expecting. Not a lot of people to go decision, given that chin, but it is one of those risky fights. But I'll go Klein by a 29-28 decision. Luana Carolina and Joanne Wood, it used to be Joanne Calderwood. Not really too sure why it's Joanne Wood now, but this is a huge step down in competition for Joanne Wood. She's 37 years old, same height. The reach, we could talk about that, I guess. Luana is going to be a lot longer than Joanne Wood in this fight, but you look at Luana Carolina losing to Ariane Lipski, to Molly McCann. She did beat Lupita Godinez, and I predicted her to beat Lupita Godinez. But Lupita Godinez and Molly McCann and Ariane Lipski, they're not really on the level of Joanne, who's only losing to legit girls. Jennifer Maia, title challenger. Laura Murphy, split decision, title challenger. Beat Jessica Ai, title challenger. Tyler Santos right there, title challenger, arguably could have won the belts against Valentina. And then the champion, Alexa Grasso, with the rear naked choke submission. So you gotta know that this is a huge step down in competition for Joanne Wood, going from the champ to unranked Luana Carolina. Huge step down in competition. And Joanne is going to be a lot better in the striking, in my opinion. She throws more volume. She's a lot more active on the feet. And yeah, Luana might be pretty long and lengthy. Has some good Muay Thai knees in the clinch and elbows and stuff like that. Joanne's a veteran. She's not going to get to those clinch positions. She's going to stay at range, land more volume, And in women's MMA, I mean, the power, neither of these girls really has the power to go out there and knock out the other girl. So it's going to be just who lands more volume. The judges are going to be like, all right, well, Joanne's landing a little bit more. We'll give Joanne the decision on that one. So I am going to go Joanne Wood to go out there and get the decision. The betting odds are interesting. As you know, like against a lot of the other girls she's fought inside of the UFC, these are the odds. And those are against way, way more high caliber competition. Now she's going against super low level for this flyweight division in Luana, Carolina. And these are the odds, which is very, very interesting because it is going to be an interesting fight, though. But I am going to go Joanne Wood to win. I think she should be able to win every single round. But in women's MMA, one of the girls always finds a way. Like, whoever loses the fight always finds a way to win at least one of those rounds. I don't know why. That's just women's MMA for you. So I'll go 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27 for Joanne Wood with the decision. Next one in the flyweight division, Jake Hadley and Malcolm Gordon. In the flyweight division, betting odds from right off the bat, no, minus 300? Minus 400? Oh my god, they're getting higher. That is absolutely insane. If you looked at what Mohamed Mokayev's odds were on Malcolm Gordon, they were like minus 700 at the start, minus 1,500 at the end at some points. Malcolm Gordon actually might have arguably won one of those rounds and probably gave Mohamed Mokayev one of the toughest fights he's ever had in his professional or amateur MMA career. So fighting Jake Hadley is a huge step down for Malcolm Gordon, when before that he beat Francisco Figueiredo, was using really good wrestling and grappling, had a little bit of a fluke win on Dennis Bonder, but with a guy like Malcolm Gordon, who's only losing a really, really high-level guy like Amir Albazi, as well as Suma Derji, who just has that power in his hands, Jake Hadley isn't really like a specialist in the grappling like Amir Albazi, or like Mohamed Mokayev to go out there and take him down controllably and beat him on the ground, and he doesn't have the power like a Suma Derji. So I don't think a Jake Hadley fight is going to be the easiest one. A Malcolm Gordon fight is not going to be the easiest fight for Jake Hadley. These odds are utterly ridiculous, in my opinion. Am I going to go Jake Hadley to win? Yeah, I'll go Jake Hadley to win the decision. But are those odds worth betting? Money lining, parlaying, whatever the case may be? No, they are not. Malcolm Gordon is very legit on the ground. He's got good, solid submission skills on the ground. Good reversals. He's got good get-up game. I do believe Jake Hadley can beat him on the ground and beat him on the feet. But for these close flyweight fights, if there's a reversal from Malcolm Gordon, he's able to control on the feet and control the fight on the ground. When there's the scramble situations and things like that, that is where Malcolm Gordon thrives, in those scrambling situations where he's able to get on top of Jake Hadley and wear Jake Hadley out, like Alan Nascimento was able to wear Jake Hadley out in the wrestling and grappling. I don't think it's going to be a domination either way from Malcolm or Jake. I expect this to be a 29-28 close fight that some people could argue Malcolm Gordon won. Some people can argue Jake Hadley won. It is in London, England, so I think they'll give it to the London, England guy in Jake Hadley, but it is a risky one. If you're parlaying Jake, you're in for a very, very sweaty night of waiting for the outcome between Hadley and Malcolm Gordon. But I'm going to go Jake to win. I think he goes out there, wins round number 1. Very, very slightly wins round number 2. And then in round number 3, I think Malcolm's going to make a little bit of a comeback there and get close to a finish, win the round 29-28. Should be a close one. Jake Hadley by a decision. I think that's what Tapology, oh my god, is going Hadley by submission. I don't know why. Yes, he submitted Carlos Candelario. Yes, he submitted Mitch Raposo. But my boy Malcolm Gordon is legit on the ground. Only been submitted recently by the two guys in the flyweight division that are the most high level of wrestlers and grapplers in the flyweight division. I'm hoping for a finish. That would be very exciting to get a good finish on Jake Hadley's record. 2 submissions in a row, but I don't see it. Malcolm's a tough guy. He's a good veteran of the flyweight division now. He's kind of like a gatekeeper to that top 15. But I'll go Jake Hadley by decision. Did you know you have members only on? I did. We have a new thing going. For anyone that doesn't know, let me see right here. Let's go to the YouTube studio. What is up, Nick Wright? Welcome to the live stream. We're going to get into the predictions in a little bit. But yeah, I do know we have members only right now. The reason being is all the members, regardless of what level you are, obviously you're going to get the bets and things like that for the $2.99 a month or whatever the cost it is. I'm not too sure what it was. But let's see where it was. Membership levels. We have a new one right here called Bert MMA live streams, which you guys already have, which is just 99 cents. If you don't want the bets and you just wanted to see my live streams early, we're going to do just the live streams like this early before we actually post the videos to the channel to only the channel members. That's about it. So yeah, I do know we have members only. We're going to do that from now on until maybe we do like a live stream mid-fight, like right when the fights are happening. But for these type of live streams, we're going to do them early for the channel members. So next fight. Oh, this is a good one. This is a banger in the middleweight division. Christian Leroy Duncan and Dusko Todorovic. In the middleweight division, I feel pretty decent about Christian Leroy Duncan. He is taller. He is, I mean, I would like to say more powerful than Dusko, but I'll say instead, more fast. He's a little bit faster than Dusko Todorovic, and he has a lot more weapons than Dusko on the feet. He's got flying knees. He's got those kicks. He's got the spin kicks. He's got good elbows and things like that. He's got a lot of tools to work with in the striking, as we've seen on his Cage Warriors fights, and throughout his entire amateur MMA career. The man was 17-6 as an amateur MMA fighter, and one of those losses was to Magomed Khabib Umarov. I mean, these are the type of guys that are going out there and beating him. A freaking Gustafsson is another one of the guys that is going out there and beating him. You gotta be legit to beat a guy like Christian Leroy Duncan. The man is coming off some good wins, knocking out Marian Dimitrov in round 1 with a spinning elbow, beating undefeated Dejata Milan with a 3rd round knockout. He shows good grappling in every single one of his fights as well. Dusko's a good boxer. The wrestling's pretty okay from Dusko. From time to time, he is able to take the fight down and ground and pound like Daquan, like Maki Pitolo, like Jordan Wright. That's actually how he's won every single one of his fights inside of the UFC. Is he going to be able to do that against Christian Leroy Duncan? Maybe, possibly, but I don't think so. I see this one staying on the feet. I don't see it lasting very long. A lot of people going Duncan by knockout. That's what I'm going to go. But the value is going to be on the Christian Leroy Duncan decision. Chidi Njokuani was able to knock him out. Punahele Soriano was also able to knock him out. I do believe Christian Leroy Duncan will be able to knock him out, but the value, probably because it's going to be juiced, the KO prop on Christian is going to be juiced to the gills. The value is probably going to be on the decision. But I'm going to go Christian Leroy Duncan to catch him. Let's go with an elbow. He likes to use the like pointy levers of his body, the elbows, the knees. Maybe he gets a shoulder knockout in this fight. I don't know, but I think he's going to learn from what Chidi Njokuani was able to do in their fight, elbow him on the feet, and he's going to do what Dusko does and ground and pound TKO Dusko Todorovic in round number 2. Round 1, I think he's going to do very, very good. In round 2, he's going to catch Dusko and ground and pound him. Now, there is a thing in MMA called once you get hurt, you give the back. So, that rear naked that he got on Justin Moore is also a possibility. So, you know, you never know. You never do know. A lot of people on that KO TKO for Christian Leroy Duncan, as that is like the only way Dusko Todorovic loses. But as we see in a lot of fights in MMA, if you are rocked on the feet, you are willing to give up your back to survive getting knocked out. And when you are wobbled and you give your back, you're more likely and more susceptible to getting rear naked choke submitted. So, you know, Christian Leroy Duncan possibly could go out there and submit Dusko Todorovic in this fight. it's a very, very big possibility, in my opinion, that Leroy Duncan rocks him on the feet, gets him down, gets the back, and submits him in round 1 or round number 2. I'm going to go the TKO, but that submission is definitely to be looked at. I want to see what those odds are once they do come out, because I really am contemplating putting a little sprinkle on. I do like the odds at minus 170 just for the money line. But submission odds, given Dusko's probably going to give his back to survive once he does get clipped, because the man gets clipped a lot in his MMA fights, submission could be there. But I'll go Christian by TKO. Should be a banger in the middleweight division. Lerone Murphy and Gabriel Santos in the featherweight division. Gabriel has been doing very, very good recently. 10-0 as a pro, no amateur MMA fights. Was recently fighting inside the LFA and beat UFC newcomer Elvis Brenner. If you recognize the man, Elvis Brenner, he's the guy that went out there on short notice and beat Zubaira Tukhugov. Little bit of a robbery, but the man did it on short notice as like a 6-1, 7-1 underdog and was able to win that fight. Gabriel Santos was the last man to beat him. After that, he was able to beat a 13-1 Marcio Barbosa, 24 years old, and is beating a bunch of other undefeated guys in his MMA career, and most recently beating Jose Delano with a nasty shot to the liver to start round number 3. And Gabriel Santos was a huge underdog. Not a lot of people had faith in Gabriel Santos at that big of an underdog, and the fact that Jose Delano was coming off really good wins over Jonas Pillarino, Jair Jesuino, and Michael Stack. I mean, the dude was doing amazing over there in the LFA. And Gabriel Santos goes out there, is defending takedowns, making it a slopper knocker type of a fight, and is able to land that body shot. Boom! Right in round number 3. I mean, he's always clutch when he needs to be in those later rounds. This could be a very live guy. He's very good in the later rounds. Round number 1, it's pretty even. I would say round 1 with Lerone Murphy and Gabriel Santos. I think round 1, Lerone Murphy probably wins. Round 1, Lerone Murphy probably goes out there and gets the win. Round 2, that's where Gabriel really starts to shine. I don't know what it is with Gabriel Santos. The man shines the longer and the later the fight goes, because he's just able to wear on his opponents a little bit, keep marching forward, throwing body shots, kicks to the head, kicks to the body, front kicks, spinning kicks, defending takedowns. I think this is going to be a slopper knocker type of fight. In the featherweight division, I do not think there's going to be a finish. Lerone's a beast. Gabriel's a beast. I'm actually going to go fight of the night. I'm going to go fight of the night. Not a lot of people are going to be like, all right, well, Lerone Murphy, Gabriel Santos is going to be fight of the night. I don't know who else they would think would be fight of the night. Probably Gaethje Fiziev. But I'm going to be dead honest. Gabriel Santos, Lerone Murphy is looking like fight of the night to me. I don't know why. I don't know why. It just seems like it's going to be an all-out 3-round war. 3-round absolute freaking war. There's no odds yet for Gabriel Santos and Lerone Murphy, but obviously Lerone Murphy is going to be quite a big favorite. There are the odds. There are the odds, and that's exactly what I was actually thinking. They should be this close. Minus 155 for Lerone Murphy, plus 135 for Gabriel Santos. They literally just got announced not that long ago. Wow. That is interesting. I didn't even see them. But yeah, they started at minus 275 for Lerone Murphy, and money is coming in on Gabriel Santos. Exactly as it should. So, it's a close one. This is a close one, in my opinion. I'm going to go Lerone Murphy to win. I think the value is going to be on Lerone Murphy here. Lerone was supposed to fight Nathaniel Wood. I think that would have been a very close fight as well. But Gabriel's coming here on short notice to fight the hometown guy in Lerone Murphy right here. I think it's going to be a 29-28 close fight again. 3-round war. This is going to be. But Lerone can mix in the takedowns early on, round 1 and round number 2. I don't think there's going to be takedowns in round number 3. And neither do I think they're going to be controlling takedowns. They're just going to be striking, takedown, right back up to the feet. But the judges will be like, all right, well, very close round. He had a takedown. He didn't. We'll give him the round. Going to be a close one. Like I said, it's going to be a slopper knocker between Gabriel Santos and Lerone Murphy. You don't know what a slopper knocker is? It means a banger of a fight. And if you don't know what a banger is, look up Hamzat Chimaev Gilbert Burns. That is what this is going to be. It's going to be a very good fight. Unless there's a finish early on, which I don't expect. But this should be a good one. I'm going to go Lerone Murphy by a decision. I don't remember. The last one he had was Douglas over the Andrade. So this should be close. This should be good. I got Lerone Murphy by decision. Who you guys got? This is going to be a banger. I don't know why. I don't know what's with me. This has to be such a banger of a fight. And I think it will be. Put your predictions down below. Lerone Murphy by a decision. Jafel Filio and Mohamed Mokaev in the flyweight division. Y'all already know what my prediction is going to be. It is going to be Mohamed Mokaev to go out there and submit Jafel Filio in round 2 or round number 3. Luan Matthias was able to do that in round number 3 of their fight. Then he lost to Bruno Correa before that. Got a lot of submissions of his own. Rear naked, rear naked, rear naked, rear naked. Oh my god, rear naked, rear naked, rear naked, rear naked. Arm triangle and a few KO TKO wins as well. I do believe the striking should be even. Maybe some power goes to Jafel Filio. But the grappling obviously is going to go to Mohamed Mokaev. I believe he's going to kind of grind him out for round number 1. And in round number 2, he's going to take him down a lot easier than he did in round 1. Get the back of Jafel and do what Jafel does to his opponents. But do that to Jafel, get the back and rear naked choke Jafel in round 2 or round number 3. Mid to end round 2 or beginning of round number 3. So I do believe this will go over 1.5 rounds, but barely. But barely. Mohamed Mokaev by rear naked choke submission. Alrighty then. When do you find out you were Jewish? I'm not Jewish. I am not indeed. Alright. What are we, about 8 fights in? After this next one, so we got a lot of fights. I mean, 15 fights for a UFC 286 pay-per-view in London. I'm just happy it starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time, because this is a lot of fights. This is a lot of fights. That means it's probably going to end 9 o'clock, probably somewhere around that range, which is good. Next fight in the lightweight division, Sam Patterson and Yanal Ashmos. In the lightweight division, 26 and 27 years old. First thing is first. Yes, Sam Patterson is from the United Kingdom. Yes, I am going to pick Sam Patterson to go out there and win this fight by a unanimous decision. No, you should not bet Sam Patterson. First off, first and foremost, for Sam Patterson, he's very tall, he's very lengthy. 6'3" for a damn lightweight. That's like Jalen Turner level skinniness for the UFC lightweight division. That is insane to be that tall for this weight class. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're going to talk about his takedown defense. It's not very good. It's not very good. Fighting a guy like Yanal Ashmos is a weird match for the UFC to give him. As his UFC debut in the UK, in London, England. I mean, usually they'd like to get him a good, easy win right off the bat, especially if it's in his home country. But if you got a guy like Yanal Ashmos who's got good power in his hands, comes forward and mixes in some good wrestling on the ground as well, is good on top of some ground and pound, I mean, that is stylistically, that's not that good of a fight for Sam Patterson. This is not a good matchup for Sam Patterson. I think this is like gonna be probably a 50-50 between Yanal and Sam Patterson. Like I said, I am gonna go Sam Patterson to win, but the man is minus 320 on FanDuel right now. I don't really know why. He's not the best striker out there. He's decent. He's got okay movement on the feet. He's good at staying at range and mixing in his shots for the outside. But he's not like a super Israel Adesanya type of striker. And yes, on the ground, he's got a very good submission game. He's very tall and lengthy, able to latch onto the arm, to the necks and things like that. And if he gets the back, like he did against Sensi, he will definitely go out there and get the submission. But if Yanal is able to stay away from the submission, be smart with his entries into those takedowns, he's very live to win the fight on the ground. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Sam Patterson should be able to keep the fight on the feet for the most part, stay at range on Yanal Ashmos. When he comes in, initiate clinches, knees to the body, elbows, and things like that. When Yanal comes in for the takedowns, go for submissions every single time, which will lead to a possible submission from Sam Patterson, which is very, very likely in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Sam Patterson by a second round submission as Yanal Ashmos is coming in for the takedown, or a 29-28 decision. Just kind of depends on how sweaty Yanal is in round number 2. If Yanal's not that sweaty in round number 2, yeah, I'd probably go Sam Patterson to get that submission, especially if Sam is winning on the feet, which is going to make Yanal a lot more reckless with his wrestling and grappling. Probably go Sam Patterson by submission, but if Yanal is doing pretty okay on the feet, I'd probably go Sam Patterson by decision. But it's a very close fight. Stylistically, not a good matchup for Sam Patterson, so should be a close one. 29-28, Sam Patterson, or a second round submission. Next fight. Let me, 1 second, I gotta wipe my nose. We are back in the UFC's lightweight division. What is this, the second or third last fight on the prelims? I think so. All right, we go on to the lightweight division. Chris Duncan versus Omar Morales, the second Chris Duncan on the card. We got Christian Leroy Duncan. Now we got just Chris Duncan taking on Omar Morales, the gatekeeper of that featherweight division. The man was riding very, very nicely, joining the UFC on a nice, very, very solid 8-fight win streak. 1 win in Bellator, 1 win on the Contender Series, got 2 unanimous decisions in a row. Then got absolutely destroyed by Giga Chikadze in a fight he was actually favored 2-1 in. Then he beat Shane Young in stylistically a very good matchup for him. And then he lost to Jonathan Pierce, who was able to beat him on the feet, hurt him there, and then submit him on the ground. And then Uros Medic, who was also able to hurt him on the feet and KO him in round number 2. Omar Morales is not good in the later rounds. Round 2 is where he lost both of his last 2 fights. And that's where I'm going to go for Chris Duncan as well. Chris is one of those guys that he kind of thrives on getting hit and then coming back in the later rounds and doing really, really good, and then knocking out his opponent. He did lose to Vyacheslav Borshev, but he took a lot of punches before he eventually got knocked out by Slava Vyacheslav Borshev. I think Omar Morales, with the lack of power that he does have, 0 KOs inside of the UFC or on Dana White's Contender Series. Yes, he did get one on Dana White's Contender Series, but I don't believe he's going to be able to hurt Chris Duncan enough to make Chris Duncan stay at range. Chris is just going to come in and be like, Omar Morales does not have that type of power. I'm going to press forward. I'm going to land those big shots, and I'm going to knock out Omar Morales in this fight. And, probably going to knock out Omar Morales in this fight. Not going to be in round 1. That's where Omar Morales is always pretty solid in, is round number 1. So I think Omar does very good in round 1. We're all going to be like, oh my God, why did we bet on Chris Duncan? He's looking absolutely awful. And then we're going to see Omar Morales go to the stool, sit down, huffing and puffing. Round 2 starts, and he's going to get a little bit gassed after a few punches are exchanged between Chris and Omar. And that's where Chris is just going to let his hands go. And that's where he's going to catch the chin of Omar Morales near the middle to end of round number 2. He's 37 years old. I think this is going to be his last fight inside of the UFC. He's 3-3 in the UFC, about to be 3-4, as Chris Duncan is going to go out there, lose round number 1, come back in round number 2, and just pressure forward. The man has a very weird chin where he gets rocked a lot. So it's not like he has an amazing chin, but his comeback ability is unparalleled in this lightweight division. So I think Chris will come back in round 2 and KO Omar Morales. Next one is he an underdog? I think he might be. That might be an underdog pick. Ding, 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 ding. I don't even see it. Yeah, slight underdog. -101 for Chris Duncan. He was plus money earlier yesterday. Could have gotten those odds. But next one, the last fight on the prelims in the featherweight division. Jack Shore and Makwan Amirkhani. In the featherweight division, nope, do not parlay Jack Shore. The man just got rocked on the feet and submitted on the ground. Makwan is a tricky cookie, man. The dude, if he gets you on the ground for 1 second, he is live for a submission. But, you know, I'm going to go Jack Shore. I feel very good about Jack Shore winning. He's younger, not as tall, not as lengthy as Makwan, but he's a lot better of a boxer than Makwan Amirkhani. He's a lot better of a, not necessarily of a grappler in terms of submission game, but he's a lot better of a wrestler than Makwan Amirkhani, and getting on top of Makwan. He could probably land the takedowns on Makwan better than Makwan can land the takedowns on Jack Shore. That's what I'm kind of trying to say when it comes to their wrestling and grappling. But I don't really see this being like a high-stakes wrestling and grappling type of a fight. I see it being mainly a 3-round striking fight until Makwan starts to gas out and really starts to get reckless with his takedown attempts like he was doing against Laura Murphy, Jonathan Pearson, things like that. And that's where Jack Shore is going to take advantage of it, get on top of Makwan Amirkhani, and get close to a finish. Get close to a finish. If it was like any other good prospect in this featherweight division, they probably finish Makwan Amirkhani. But Jack Shore is a decisionator. If he finished Aaron Phillips, the man's not in the UFC anymore. Decision Hunter Azure, Lidovich Shalinian, Timur Valiev, 2 guys that are on the Ultimate Fighter now, and then lost that to Ricky Simon. He's not a finisher, so I see this one going all the way. Jack Shore outboxing Makwan Amirkhani in round 1 and in round number 2, and then out-grappling Makwan once he gets reckless going for those takedowns in round number 3. I got a 30-27. Jack Shore decision. Next one on the main card in the UFC's middleweight division, the number 1 seed in the, well, I don't know what I'm saying, guys. I'm sorry. Let me see really quickly. Bum 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 bum. Alright, next one in the middleweight division, Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. In the middleweight division, Roman Dolidze is the underdog king. When has Roman Dolidze gone out there and just, you know, not been the underdog? I mean, Kyle Dawkins probably. But Jack Hermanson, he was out there as a 2-1 underdog, coming in on short notice and was able to go out there round 1. Didn't look so good. Lost round number 1. Round 2, took the man down and just ground and pounded the heck out of him. And then got his back, had some weird position with like a calf slicer or something, and then just started hammering on Jack Hermanson and finished him. Phil Hawes, he was able to get really close on a submission with him and then knock him out on the feet as a pretty sizable underdog as well. Almost a 2-1 underdog against Phil Hawes there as well. Kyle Dawkins, again, I don't know how he's the underdog in this many fights inside of the UFC, but he was at -255 for Kyle Dawkins against Roman Dolidze. Does that remind you of anything? Those are almost the same odds as Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. I'm being serious here. He was the favorite against Loreno Staropoli. I believe he was 50-50 against Trevin Giles, but a lot of his fights are very close, or he's the underdog by quite a bit, especially against Kyle Dawkins. The man was a pretty big underdog and went out there and dominated Kyle Dawkins and knocked him out early on in that fight. But the difference of him being the underdog in all of these fights and making those comebacks and doing good in the later rounds and things like that, you know, That's the thing. That's the thing with Kyle Dawkins. He's very good, or not Kyle Dawkins, with Roman Dolidze. He's very good at being the underdog against finishable opponents like Kyle Dawkins, Phil Hawes, and Jack Hermanson. None of them really had the best chin, and they get finished a few times in their MMA career. Marvin Vettori does not get finished. This is not a guy that goes out there and ends his fights in round number 1 or in round number 2. When is the last time that you have seen Marvin Vettori lose a fight? In round 1, in round 2, and in round 3. Never! Even in his amateur MMA career, in these random Italy organizations, where he lost 3 fights in a row, the man is not getting finished in any of his fights. This is not going to be any different than any of those other ones. Roman Dolidze is not finishing Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori is not finishing Roman Dolidze. These are 2 unfinishable type of guys in the middleweight division. So what does it come to? It's going to be 3 rounds of action in this fight between Roman Dolidze as well as Marvin Vettori. But, what is Marvin Vettori going to be able to do here? What is Marvin Vettori going to be able to do that Roman Dolidze can't? Volume! Roman might have the power, yeah, true. But Marvin Vettori's got the cardio, he's got the volume in the later rounds, and he's got very, very solid takedown defense. This is going to be 3 rounds of striking between Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. I do believe Roman Dolidze is not as good of a striker as Marvin Vettori. He might be more powerful than Marvin Vettori, but not as technical, not as voluptuous. I don't know how to say that. And he doesn't have nearly the cardio of Marvin Vettori. So maybe Roman lands some big shots in round number 1 and wins it. I don't know. He might win a round, but for the most part, Marvin is the better striker. He's got the good takedown defense. I think he outstrikes Roman Dolidze in at least 2 out of the 3 rounds, and I think he wins this fight here. So I got Marvin Vettori winning this fight by a unanimous decision. Oh yeah, and email Mailson, I did mess it up a little bit. It was supposed to be, the stream was only supposed to have members only in it, but I guess I only did members only comments. So I kind of messed that up a little bit, but it's a learning curve. We'll get better in the next one. Jennifer Maia versus Casey Neal in the flyweight division. Jennifer Maia and Casey Neal in the flyweight division, about a decade apart in age between Casey O'Neill and Jennifer Maia. That is insane. That is absolutely gosh dang nuts. That's a pretty big age gap. Now, 87% are going O'Neill. No. Cannot be that confident on Casey O'Neill. She got a split decision against a very old, a very scruffy Roxanne Modafferi. Roxanne's takedowns were legit in that fight. She was actually doing pretty good landing takedowns on Casey O'Neill. She just stopped going for them. She's like, this is my final fight. I don't really want to go for takedowns. Let's make this a fun fight. And it was definitely a fun fight. But there was that weakness there for Casey O'Neill in her takedown defense and in her takedown offense. Now, does this fight solely rely on the fact that Casey can get the takedown? No. She can definitely outstrike Jennifer Maia on the feet. That is a possibility. She could go out there and outstrike Jennifer Maia on the feet. Very, very true. It's possible. But her most likely path to victory is going to be on the ground. So if she's able to get the takedown and if she's able to control the fight on the ground, I say her chances of winning are like 70-80%. If she's unable to do so, it goes to like 55%, 54% chance. In my confidence for Casey O'Neill, if she's unable to get the takedowns, my confidence completely drops because women's MMA, you already know the striking is going to be super, super close to call if it does go to the judges' scorecards, which I do believe it will. So, I'm going to go Casey O'Neill to win. I don't think she's going to dominate on the ground like a lot of people are thinking. I think she will land 1, maybe 2 takedowns in this fight. Not going to control, not going to dominate Jennifer Maia there, but she will outstrike Jennifer just slightly to win 2 out of the 3 rounds. Should be a close one in the women's flyweight division. Next one in the welterweight division, Gunnar Nelson and Brian Bam Bam Barberena. In the welterweight division, I'm going to go Gunnar Nelson to win. He's not coming in on short notice. He's a little bit older than Brian Barberena, and they have similar amount of experience, but I mean, Brian got kind of dominated by Rafael dos Anjos in his last fight, and he was only really beating newcomers that haven't had a lot of experience as an MMA fighter, and veterans, Matt Brown and then Robbie Lawler. I mean, he had a split decision win on Matt Brown. Lost to Jason Witt. Got taken down easily against Jason Witt in that fight. Got taken down easily against Rafael dos Anjos and submitted in that fight as well. If Jason Witt is able to take down this man, and Rafael dos Anjos is able to submit him, I think Gunnar Nelson should be able to go out there and get these takedowns. Now, Gunnar's only losing to legit guys. Brian isn't really on the level of Gunnar, or on the level of Gunnar's opponents that he's lost to. Santiago Ponzinibbio was a beast 5 years ago. Leon Edwards, that I mentioned, the man's the champion, and he lost by split decision. All right. And then we got Gilbert Burns, who has been finishing everybody but Hamza Chimaev recently, and could only muster up a decision against Gunnar Nelson. This should be a good fight. I think on the feet, I actually give Gunnar Nelson a slight advantage, using his karate, staying at range, in and out like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and that's what I want to see after this fight with Gunnar Nelson and Brian Barberena. If Stephen Wonderboy Thompson loses his next fight, I don't know who it'll be against, but whatever fight Gunnar or Stephen Wonderboy Thompson has next, if he loses and Gunnar Nelson beats Brian Barberena, I want Gunnar Nelson, Stephen Thompson. 2 karate-style kind of kickboxers. One with the grappling to fall back on, one that's just a little bit better at that karate-style fighting. And I think that'd be a pretty interesting matchup. But I think Gunnar Nelson should win. And my gut is saying decision, but a lot of people say I pick way too many decisions. So most likely this fight probably goes to a decision, but because he wasn't able to finish Takashi Sato. But, you know, it's in London. It is an English card. It's on the main card of the pay-per-view. They're going to be one in this finish. So I think Gunnar goes out there and submits him in round 2 or round number 3. Next one in the UFC's lightweight division, Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev. In the lightweight division, minus 240. Yeah, those aren't bad. Height goes Gaethje, reach goes Fiziev. Doesn't really matter. The Gaethje, the man, the myth, the legend, the human highlight reel, is a wrestler at heart. But he doesn't use it, so I don't know what to make of that. But he's a powerful puncher, obviously. He's very explosive. He's a finisher, obviously. Rafael Fiziev is also a finisher in this lightweight division, finishing Brad Riddell, Rafael dos Anjos, doing good against and finishing Renato Moicano, decisions on Martin Chiesi and Bobby Green, but I don't know. Justin Gaethje is a weird one, because if he's losing and he's getting finished, it's usually a submission, as of recent. I mean, the Khabib one was a submission, the Oliveira one was a submission, and then 4 or 5 years ago, Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier were able to go out there and KO him. But that was very, very late. Round 3 with a minute left. Round 4 in a 5-round main event. This isn't a 5-round fight. If it was a 5-rounder, I might go Rafael late finish, round 4, round number 5. But it's only 3 rounds, which leads me more to believe that the fight goes to a decision. So I think Rafael Fiziev, because Justin Gaethje, whenever he fights guys that are good on the outside, good technical strikers, he does pretty good. Michael Chandler's not a technical guy, so he was able to actually outstrike Michael Chandler. Khabib, we know it's Khabib. Oliveira was able to out-technique him on the outside with his strike and then able to land that good shot to knock him down and then get the submission. Tony doesn't really have that technique on the outside. Donald Cerrone was washed at that point. But Poirier and Alvarez, very good technical strikers on the outside with very, very solid power in their hands. Rafael Fiziev is the same thing like Poirier and like Eddie Alvarez. He's good on the outside with his hands, staying on the outside, going in and out and things like that. Do I think he's going to knock him out? Possible. Very, very possible, but I see this one going all the way. Rafael Fiziev could very well get the finish. If he's going to, it'll probably be later on in round number 3. If it was a 5-round fight, I'd go Rafael Fiziev to win this one, but it's not. So I'm going to go Rafael Fiziev to win by a unanimous decision. Stand on the outside, landing more volume in the kicks of the body, the kicks of the head, outspeeding Justin Gaethje and just staying away from the leg kicks of Justin Gaethje as well. One of the rounds, I think, because every one of these up-and-comers has that moment with the gatekeeper of the division where they get tested. I think Gaethje is going to rock Rafael Fiziev at some point in this fight, but he's not going to be able to get the finish, and I think Rafael Fiziev wins 29-28, only losing the round that he gets rocked a little bit in, as Bobby Green had some moments in that fight. If Justin Gaethje is able to have those same moments, he could have hurt Rafael Fiziev. So I'm going to go 29-28, Rafael Fiziev. All right, next one. And the last one in the UFC's, let's go out in the UFC's welterweight division. Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. 3 in the welterweight division. Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman, has only lost once in the last, 10 years. I mean, when was the last time he lost? His second pro fight against Jose Caceres. And yeah, that was pretty much 10 years ago. 10 freaking years between that one and the Leon Edwards loss. And they are both very, very fluky losses. So, like I said in the last fight, like I say in a lot of Kamaru Usman fights, if there's no flukiness involved, if there's none of those big, crazy moments where Leon can get the back like he did in the last fight, or throw up those Hail Mary fight-ending punches or kicks, if he's not able to do that and land those very fluky shots at the end of the fight, Kamaru should win. He is the better fighter. He's better in the wrestling. He is lengthier than Leon Edwards. He's got more power in his hands than Leon Edwards. He's a little bit of a better boxer than Leon Edwards. He's got better ground and pound. He's got better jab. He's got a good 1-2. He's good in the clinch. He's good at wearing his opponents down. And exactly what we were seeing in the last fight of Usman, getting him to the cage, holding him there, knees to the thigh, foot stomps. Yeah, I know. I don't like the foot stomps, but it's a part of the game. I think it's just going to be another grinding win for Kamaru Usman. Now, do I think it's going to be a domination? No. Not at all. Leon Edwards actually won round number 1 in their last fight. And I think he does it again. I think Leon goes out there and wins round number 1 just like he did in their previous encounter. Not with the grappling this time, but with the kicking game. At range, body kicking, going for head kicks, jabbing and staying on the outside. On Kamaru Usman, I think Leon does very good in round number 1 on Kamaru Usman. Wins the round. But like he did in the last fight, a lot of people blame it on elevation or whatever the case may be. I'm a little skeptical on that. I think he's going to fade a little bit in round 2, in round 3, in round 4, and in round 5. I don't expect a finish, but I expect Kamaru Usman to be able to land the takedowns easier, wear on Leon Edwards' gas tank in the round 2, 3, 4, and 5, with the wrestling, with the clinch work, with the knees to the body, to the thigh, the foot stomps, the takedowns, the ground and pound. No submission attempts. He's not that type of guy. But I think Kamaru Usman should win 3 out of the 4 final rounds. 3 out of the 4 final rounds. Leon wins round 1 and wins one of those rounds. Round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5. I don't know which one. But I think Kamaru Usman wins a close, competitive 48-47 decision. Should be a good one. In the welterweight division, Leon Rocky Edwards living the Rocky story in real life. Going out there round number 5 with a comeback. Usman's going to be a lot more safe this time around. Once he's up 3-1 going into the final round, Usman's going to be playing it a lot more safe. And Leon might win round number 5, but he's not going to finish Usman for a second time in round number 5. Usman's going to play it a lot more safe. So I see the fight going all the way, and I got Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare, Usman, winning by a decision. But should be a good one in the UFC. Alright, we got confident picks in a little bit, but now to say all of my predictions. That is my UFC 286 full card prediction. We got Usman by a unanimous decision. Rafael Fiziev by a unanimous decision. Gunnar Nelson with a rear naked choke submission. Casey O'Neill by decision. Marvin Vettori by a decision. Jack Shore by a decision. Chris Duncan with a second round TKO. Sam Patterson with a second round submission or a close decision. Mohamed Mokayev with a submission. Lerone Murphy with a close decision. Leroy Duncan with the TKO. Hadley with the decision. Joanne Wood with the decision. Ludovic Klein with the decision. And Juliana Miller with the submission. Those are the picks. Those are the predictions. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. We go on to. I'm just kidding. Bum 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 bum. Alright, I gotta go to sleep because I gotta wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. But if you want to see all the MMA news that we have for you guys, check out the Instagram, Bert MMA on Instagram. Bert_MMA. All of today's MMA news is going to be on the story there. I would do it right now, but I got to wake up at 6 o'clock for a doctor's appointment, and I still got to edit the full card prediction we just did. I'm going to do the confident picks tomorrow, so thank y'all for watching the live stream. We'll see you tomorrow with the confident picks, tomorrow's MMA news. And we might do an underdog of the week video as well. We might do an underdog of the card video.